Hello, everybody, and welcome to FreeChinaPost. We are on episode 38 now, man. We are doing it.
What was 37? Oh, 37 was last week. You said it was the good one.
It's good. It's good. It will obviously be up before this one. I think probably put it up tomorrow. I kind of finished editing it tonight, but I don't know if I'll put it up tonight. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. We had some good conversations. It wasn't rambly or anything, so yeah. You get back way too late. I mean, we're starting this recording at almost 12:30, so
I get home at 11. I gotta cook. I gotta make myself a little dinner. Then we always take a few minutes basically processing between when I actually call you and when we actually start recording, so a little bit of dead time.
Yeah, it happens, and it's all right, but we gotta, once you have less responsibilities, that will be nice for me.
You mean after I retire?
Yeah, that's right. In 2 years after you retire, it'll be good. We'll be able to record 3 times a week.
That's funny. It's real funny.
Yeah. Well, if we could record in the same place, that would save me a lot of time too, because merging up the two recordings is sometimes a little bit of a thing in and of itself. Not to mention, if one of our internets slows down a little bit, then the rate of our talking gets muddled and blah 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 blah. So.
But the recording should go at the same speed though.
It does, but it will add more pauses and the pauses become longer and more exaggerated if the delay is longer. So. Because it'll take longer for you to hear what I say, basically, or vice versa. So
interesting.
It can be a little bit of a pain, but it's fine. I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, obviously I take a lot of time. Part of the time it takes is because of me. People will have listened to it already, obviously, if they're true fans. But 37, I added a lot of drops. Lots of good ones. Some of them are for fun, and they're silly, and they're funny. And some of them are like we talked about, I think I put 2 Buttigieg ones in there, and...
Oh, no, I don't want to hear his voice.
Your quarrel, sir, is with my creator.
It's important for people listening to, understand, what he says. Just for him to drone on about how Democrats are too focused on policy and the Republicans are doing a better job, blah, blah, blah. So...
Democrats are too focused on policy. Who the fuck does he think he is?
That's what he said, man.
I've got lots of experience. I've been mayor of a shithole. Oh, okay. I've been mayor of a small town that not that many people have heard of in Indiana, a small state that not many people have heard of, for a grand total of 6 months. So you'd better listen to me, because I know politics, guys.
Exactly.
He's about as qualified to be president as, probably my bag of dirty laundry.
Yeah.
I'm much more qualified than he is.
I would agree. I'd vote for you over him in a second.
Yeah, but I'm not old enough yet.
Not yet.
It's alright. Give it 25 years. What are you, 10?
Yeah, wait. I need to be elected to the Senate first.
I don't think so. It's clear that you don't need to be in the Senate before you get elected president.
I always wanted to be in the Senate, though.
That's fair. That's fair.
Be the senator from the state of Arizona.
Well, I mean, it would be pretty difficult for you to get elected there with your policies, but...
I could just run as a left Republican, basically.
I guess.
Shit, man, I could run as an independent. I could be I'm the next fucking
Barry Goldwater.
I don't know how running as an independent will go for you, but maybe after the Republican Party collapses, you'll be able to do it.
Exactly, just wait for the opportune time and swoop in with my Bernie Sanders Jewish charm and get that independent vote.
Yeah, just say that you'll bring the jobs back from
all
China.
These billionaires and rednecks. They're taking your jobs.
They took your jobs.
They took our jobs! They took your jobs! They took your jobs! They took your jobs!
You need to vote for these fucking shithole Republicans.
The top 1% of 1%? They're taking all your money? And Debbie fucking Wasserman Schultz?
Has he ever mentioned Debbie Wasserman Schultz?
I think he said her name before, but that's my favorite thing.
He said her name before?
That's my favorite thing
Wow.
to say in his voice is Debbie fucking Wasserman Schultz. Because, like, that's what I imagine he says to, like, his wife, like, when they're, like, chilling out. Like, after they've ate some soup.
Debbie Wasserman-Schultz is much harder than you.
He would never say that. He is a pure, beautiful man. He would never talk about things like that to his wife. Don't besmirch the name of Bernie Sanders, a.k.a. Dad. That's how he is to be referred to now, as Dad.
Uncle.
Uncle. Yeah, exactly. Uncle. This is Lao Ba. I think that's acceptable. Yeah, I could get down on that. He's doing good shit though, man. Him and I know you don't have a lot of affinity for AOC, but they are working together to pass some like good legislation now. So, have you heard about the legislation they're passing?
Who's AOC?
Exactly. So there's a congresswoman who's pretty popular.
All right. What? No. What? Okay. What legislation? I don't want to hear anything more about her than I need to. So, go ahead.
That's fair. Okay, I won't get into it. I should. But yeah, like basically they're trying to pass legislation that would cut down like the rates of interest. I think they're doing it for credit card companies, but they're definitely doing it for like payday loans and things like that. They're like making it so it can't be over. Oh, I forget what the percentage is. It was like a week and a half ago that I saw this story. It's something like 15%, I think. So basically, all loan industries would know, because like the payday loan industry, some of those places charge like over 100% interest. It's ridiculous. So they would basically cut it all down to like 15%, I believe.
Okay.
Around there. That's basically the gist of the legislation. Is no more like fucking people over because America doesn't pay its people a living wage.
So what's the solution, Jordan?
I mean, aside from like busting out the guillotines, French Revolution style, I think it's mandating that like CEOs can't make 300% more than their lowest paid employee. I mean, there's a few simple fixes. Medicare for all would be a big deal.
Yes.
But also, I mean, that would save people tons of money.
Federal minimum wage increase. If the Democrats could pass in the House already, fucking Nancy Pelosi, I don't know what the fuck she's doing. If they could pass a $15 minimum wage federal bill through the House, in the Senate they don't pass it, that would be huge. But maybe she's waiting till election year to do that.
Maybe. I really...
Doing that before elections would be a much bigger symbol. If they do it now, come on, do you think people are going to remember in like November of 2020?
I agree with you. I do think that Nancy Pelosi is a huge hack, and just like Chuck Schumer, like I think both of them are way past their prime. People give them way too much credit. I had someone defending Nancy Pelosi like a month or so ago on Twitter. She's like, "Do you mean the greatest legislator to ever grace the face of like the Congress?" And I was like, "What has she passed in like years?" And she's not in favor of Medicare for all. She's not in favor of impeaching
Obamacare,
Trump.
Jordan.
Yeah, we passed a right-wing plan. We passed a Romney Care, which is how everyone should refer to it from this point on. Is it's Romney Care. It is not like Obamacare is a joke. It's a terrible plan. Of course, it's better than what we had before. And was it 3 episodes ago? I was defending it, basically saying that we shouldn't destroy it, but we need to move past it. We should have moved past that 20, 30, 40 fucking years ago.
Yeah, we just need to do it. Enslave the doctors already. I don't understand what's taking so darn long.
I agree. Let's work on that. I mean, I'm waiting. But, again, Nancy Pelosi is corporatist, man. She brags all the time about, "Oh, I raised the most money. Oh, I'm a great master legislator because I can talk to the donors."
I don't know why you didn't get involved in that argument I was having with that pompous little medical student.
I didn't see it. I remember you told me about it, but I didn't actually see it.
Yeah, man. He used to spout it. He's just like, you don't know what you're talking about, and these are my opinions, and I don't care about your facts because you don't know what you're talking about. I'm just like, how about you present a single fact to contradict like the cited reports that I just gave you? Or do you not know how to read? I didn't say that. I was like, he's like, I suggest that since you don't know what you're talking about, you don't post on these issues. And I was like, I suggest some no-name student doesn't take their time to ruin their reputation by like creating these ad hominem attacks and then providing no fucking source information for all the ridiculous uncited information you're giving.
Let's put him on blast. What were his arguments?
Basically, I was like, Okay, the original thing was...
First, shout out his Twitter handle. I'm just kidding.
The original thing was, he's like, well, we can't just make a new healthcare bill. We need to talk to doctors first. And I was like, no, we don't need to ask doctors what they want, because their management under the fucking AMA, they've overseen the entire system's collapse to the point where we're at now, where doctors are paid out the ass for basically failing Americans. Their lifespans are decreasing right now. The medical system in America is a failure, and doctors are partially responsible for that. So no, we don't need to ask them, because they haven't done much for us. Thank you very fucking much.
Not to mention they don't do much anyway, because like half the time, because drug companies are allowed to like openly broadcast their fucking drugs over TV airways and things like that. Most of the people that are going into these doctors are saying, I have this problem, and an ad told me that I think I need this drug, so I think I need this drug. You should probably prescribe it to me. And that's sometimes what they do.
It's true.
Man. It's a
I
joke.
mean, there are so many flaws. Basically, I mean, the medical industry is a giant scam, and it's between the medical insurers and the doctors. They're just raking in
and the pharmaceutical companies.
The issues that I have now with medicine has become kind of like the new version of feudalism, essentially, where doctors actually don't work, and that they have these indentured serfs called physician's assistants and
nurses, man.
LPNs, basically. Yeah, where basically you pay for a full doctor's visit, you pay the full copay, the insurance company pays a full fucking pay as if you see a doctor, and the doctor comes into the office for an hour a week, and they defraud the insurance companies, and they defraud the American consumer. And I can tell you, the last half a dozen times I went to see a doctor in the United States, I didn't fucking see a doctor. I saw their nurse practitioner, because the doctors aren't fucking there. The doctors are in Hawaii. They haven't been back to fucking mainland America in decades. It's a fucking racket.
It's a ruse, yeah, absolutely.
It's absolutely preposterous, and the fact that we let them get away with this without completely smashing the AMA to pieces is preposterous.
Yeah, and I mean, my sister is a nurse, and I think nurses are completely capable, and I think that being in the care of a nurse is absolutely fine. But at the same time, when you're running this scam as if you're going to see a doctor and you don't actually see one, I think it's a joke.
I completely agree with you.
I totally agree with you.
Agreed.
And also, man, look at, these doctors, get bought in steak dinners and stuff by these pharmaceutical reps, and they just basically get wined and dined by them. And
that's right.
Yeah,
all
stupid.
doctors need to be enslaved, basically, and we need to return medicine to what it once was, an honest profession about treating people, not about making money, which is basically what it is now, and conducting, the handful of people that conduct medical research. The medical industry does so little right now. It's shocking.
Well, I mean, I think we discussed this before, or at least we danced around it when we were talking about the military when Ray Ray was on. But the most of the research doesn't come from independent medical pharmaceutical reps or pharmaceutical companies, I should say, or any private medical companies. It comes from state-funded colleges.
Well, it's a mixture. I mean, it's a mixture. But to be honest, there have been there are very few new drugs that are actually feasible at this point. Most of the important drugs have already been developed, unfortunately.
It takes a long time, but there are vaccines and things like that are getting developed currently, and some of them that are in clinical trials. I mean, and not all of it is in the United States either. There are foreign drugs. I mean, I also talked about this on Ray's thing. It's there are drugs coming out of Cuba and places like this that look very promising in the clinical trials.
I wouldn't bet on anything coming out of Cuba besides Fidel Castro's pubes.
I have more faith in them than you do, but that's it's fair. We'll wait and see. We'll see what happens. I'm not saying I would put all my eggs in that basket, but at the same time, it's fucking, the medical profession is kind of a joke right now.
Exactly. So I don't think that anyone needs to ask doctors what they think, because they clearly don't know what's fucking needed. They have mismanaged the medical industry for decades, and they have overseen the scarcity of the medical industry to the point that it's impossible to see a doctor. Basically, it's very difficult, if not impossible, and they've basically created a racket for themselves at the expense of the American people. Why would anyone ask them what they want at this point? when they fucked us over so hard.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's like, oh, we need to like increase the penalty for robbers. Well, we need to ask the thieves what they think about this law.
Exactly. No. So I said no, and I was like, not only that, but my argument on Twitter was not about enslaving doctors, although I think that would be the appropriate move. It was basically saying that doctors need to be considered more like public servants. And this, this pompous little medical student who's never worked a fucking day in his life, because he's just like a rich kid, because that's what all medical students are. Fucking, he's like, I made the argument basically that the reason that we need to reconceive how we look at doctors also is because of how much we fund their fucking education. That like basically the majority of medical education is subsidized by state governments. That medical student tuition, medical university tuition, it may be expensive from their perspective, but it's actually, in most states, it's probably more than 50% subsidized by state governments. Not only that, but the residencies in a lot of cases are subsidized by Medicare. And in these circumstances, if we're paying for their education, why the hell can't we expect anything from them?
Yeah, so do you think that because Medicare for All, there's so many different Medicare for All style systems, and there's a lot of hack ones now, basically like Beto O'Rourke is coming out as saying, or Kapmala, these people, some of them are now pushing like these fake Medicare for All, they're calling it like Medicare for America, which it's not. You need to, if you are pushing for anything, or if the person you're looking at supporting in the general is anything but supporting Medicare for All, like a genuine Medicare for All.
What does Medicare for America mean? Can you?
I don't know all of it, but basically what they're saying is like, oh, we need to like expand Medicare. Basically, like we need to make you can listen for these like weasel words, basically, where they say like, oh, we need to expand access. And it's like, well, everyone's got fucking access, but no one has the fucking funds to pay for this shit. Like I don't have the money to get the insurance that I need. So what I'm pushing, I'll look more into the Medicare for America thing that Beto is pushing, and explain
Beta Beto. So you did that on purpose.
But pushing in the future, I'll look into it and I'll give a more deep dive some point. Maybe I'll write an article about it. I'm kind of in the middle of one right now. But my whole point in saying that is like, everyone needs to look into these systems. So if someone is like Bernie Sanders, his Medicare for All system has been clearly looked through. Everyone's gone through it. It's going to be a positive for America. It will make you will pay less money. The average American citizen will pay less money. But what I was going to ask you is, do you think that we should do more of a Canadian-style system in which basically like the hospitals can be privatized, the doctors are independent, like is it for lack of a better term, they're like basically independent contractors, like they're free to like come and go as they please. I guess they are in all systems, or like a British style system where they are literally considered like government workers. They're public sector workers as opposed to private sector workers.
I'd probably prefer more of a UK system, honestly, because it's kept costs a lot lower. Yeah, medicine.
I would agree. Go ahead, keep going. I'm sorry.
There are still clinics and private GPs offices, but I mean they basically have to accept the rates. I think as long as you can keep the quality high, which is it's not an impossible thing to do. Look at Taiwan. Shit.
I think it's also not difficult to do because America has the fucking largest economy in the world. Like, we should have no problem doing that. I mean, we already have, like you said, we have, like, falling...
You say that, but we have so many problems with... Look at schools, okay? Schools are a thing that's funded by state and federal governments, and look at the disparities and the quality differences we have between them. So I would be afraid of a drop in quality, but I don't think that's any reason not to use it.
And what I would...
I prefer to have a dirty, a slightly dirty hospital than not be able to use the hospital.
Well, and there already are countless cases of like people getting sepsis and things like that in hospitals right now. It's like the idea that like the hospitals are super clean right now and super efficient is like a joke. I mean, I wanted to say earlier when you were saying like you were talking about like the cost and things like that. It's like right now, because of corruption within the medical field, there's cases of people getting a box of tissues, and what the insurance companies will charge them for is they will say it's a cough suppressant. They will charge them hundreds of dollars for a box of fucking tissues. Like, it's a joke.
Yeah, it's a scam. It's a scam.
It's all a scam. So getting rid of that, you're cutting out a lot of the middlemen, and also because of the supremacy clause within the U.S. Constitution, I think there's a lot of right for the federal government to step in and say when states do things like they've been doing, where they're like when you're talking about education and things like that, for states to step in or for the federal government to step in and say, okay, this is the fucking rule of the land. Like, these are the basic minimum requirements you have to meet. And we don't give a fuck if you want to talk about states' rights. We're talking about the fucking health of our citizens. And I think if you message it right, then everyone's going to get on board. And once people get a fucking taste of that Medicare for all, and they realize, oh, I can go see a fucking doctor? This is crazy. I haven't seen a doctor in 10 years. Oh, I can go see a dentist or an optometrist? I haven't seen one in decades. Like, once they get a taste of that and they realize, oh, all the fear-mongering is fake. Oh, I pay less every year than I would normally, and I can see a doctor at the same time. They're not going to let it go. It's going to be like Medicare and Medicaid and things like that, where basically Social Security, for that matter, like, those are all social programs that have basically, because of the old people who are in favor of like cutting, like, they're basically in favor of austerity except for where it affects them. So once that's everyone in the society, I feel like it's gonna be a done deal. It's gonna be a wrap.
I hope so.
I hope so too. I mean, you can never know, but that would be my feeling on the whole subject.
You never know.
You never know what's gonna happen.
But I don't know. I as much as I waver between having faith in the American people and losing total faith in the American people, I think if a Medicare for all style system were to be passed, I think people would just have to admit that it's good. There would still be people that are like, this sucks, like the wait lines and stuff. But once they're in it.
Oh, you mean like how you still have to wait 2 fucking weeks to see a normal doctor right now?
Or you have to get a fucking referral to go see a specialist. I don't have to go get a referral in Taiwan to see a specialist. I just go see a fucking specialist.
Yeah.
It's a joke. But most of these people that are arguing these things are not good faith actors anyway. Like, most of them are are TV pundits that are arguing against it just because their advertisers are big pharmaceutical companies. It's the same thing with a military-industrial complex. Like, you're taking money from these people and you expect me to trust what you say? Like, nah. I won't do that. I'm not that fucking gullible. But we'll see. We'll see if people fucking awaken from their slumber. It seems like they are. I mean, 70% of the American people via polls are in favor of Medicare for all style system. Something like 51% of Republicans are in favor of it. I don't know, man. Stop voting for people that take money from big corporations. Get fucking money out of politics and you'll get rid of this shit real quick. You have anything more to talk about on that?
No.
So do you have like any big hot topics you're trying to talk about? Because, like, man, I've been not following the news very well because, like, I've been very immersed in trying to write this article that I'm writing right now.
Okay, tell me a little bit. Let's preview your article a little bit.
All right. And did you write an article about Xinjiang before?
I don't know. I was thinking about that recently, but I honestly don't know if I have. I know I've mentioned it.
Because I know when I asked you for the picture, because I recently asked you, because you've been to Xinjiang.
Yeah.
And should I say that? Should I delete that? Let me know if you want me to cut that out. I'll cut it out. Anyway, so I was talking to you about it, and you, I thought you had written an article about it before for some reason, but I think maybe you just used a photo that had been taken in Xinjiang. And maybe that's what it was that made me think that you had. But regardless, I'm currently writing an article basically about the beginnings of because I don't know, I'm kind of, because I'm in the middle of it right now. Like, I'm kind of maybe halfway through, and so I'm debating on whether I should go back super far, like to the 1950s, basically, when some of this conflict started. Obviously, with like Mao being in power and things like that. Right now, where I've started from is about 2008, and where there was, so I believe is in 2008 they had basically in Guangdong there was a couple Han Chinese people said that they were at a toy factory, and they said that like these like few Muslim, these Uyghur people, sexually assaulted someone, and basically they started like a big fight, and like a few people got like a few Uyghurs got killed, and like it was a huge like big fight like that happened to this company. And so like, and basically it came out later that like the charges were all falsified, and like it was basically like a disgruntled employee that had made up all this shit. So like a few days later, I believe it was, in Xinjiang, they had a protest. They did a march, basically. They were doing a march with like about 1,000 Uyghurs. And they were marching, and then it's disputed about what happened, and it's really hard to get the facts because a lot of the people that probably took place in that march are either dead or in camps right now. But it comes from both sides, and so like basically they're arguing about it, and they're saying like, so the Uyghurs basically said like the police were getting violent with them, and the CCP basically says that the Uyghurs are being like disruptive, or like, you know, like getting out of hand and like becoming violent themselves, and so they had to like step in. And so like that's kind of where I take my jettison off of that. And then I'm talking about how they're increasing their clampdown on the Xinjiang region, and also in China in general. Like I kind of mentioned China in general from time to time. But what I'm working towards is like discussing like Amnesty International recently did a big piece on this app that they have in Xinjiang, where basically they have information down to your height in centimeters. They have your weight, your make and model of car. They track you via GPS, and if you bump into people that they think are quote-unquote dissidents or, you know, people of interest, basically. If you're like a SP, basically.
SP. Super puss.
No.
Nobody likes the super pusses.
In terms of... Oh, now I totally lost my train. What is the... like the faux religion? Oh my gosh. I'm losing my shit.
Gangsters' disciples.
I'm too tired. Anyway, that's a gang, but
No, that's a religion. Don't be ridiculous.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I know what you're
offense.
talking about. Latter-day Saints.
No. Newer religion.
New Power Party.
No, that's a political party. That's a good political party that people should support in Taiwan. It doesn't matter. It's not important.
Tamil Tigers.
Scientology is what I'm
Tamil Tigers.
Yeah, Tamil Tigers. No, SP is what they call like.
Oh,
like
South
bad
Park
people.
Mexicans.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, like you're all that to say that yeah, you're like a bad person, so they don't trust you. But
If you're a South Park Mexican.
He's got love for the Crips and Bloods and Latin King.
I don't even know if they let Mexicans into China, to be fair.
Well, I'm talking about the rap group. Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Mexicans, but definitely they wouldn't.
Did you
let
never
the
listen to
rap
South Park Mexicans?
group. No,
I think you missed out on the whole hip-hop era, Jordan.
man, I didn't start listening to hip hop until I got into college, and I got real into like.
You sound like Obama. I
underground
didn't listen
hip-hop.
to hip-hop till I got into college. Started smoking weed.
No, that's Kamala
Started
Harris.
hanging
that
out with the
you're
wrong
thinking of.
crew. Listening to Snoop Doggy Dogg.
Let me be honest with you, folks. In college, started smoking some weed, and got a little high, and made some bad decisions. But I cleaned up my act now.
One of
got
them
rid
was getting married to Michelle.
Got rid
Oh,
of
having
my-
kids really ruined my life. I'll tell you guys.
I got rid of my Kenyan birth certificate, and now I'm doing all right. President of the fucking world. Huh? Free world, folks. Huh?
Free world, guys.
Nah, but yeah,
Ballin'.
so, anyway, yeah, like I don't know. That's about where the point I'm at right now. It's like I'm trying to figure out how much backstory I should do to this post. Where like how much history should I do, and how much of right now should I talk about? Like, because like I said, Amnesty International like dissected. They basically reverse engineer this app that these people have to have. And
They were going to say they're dissecting Uyghur dissidents.
Well, they actually I read a recent article that detailed they are basically doing that. And
Why would Amnesty International be doing that? That sounds like fake news.
that is fake news. That's alternative facts. But China is doing like they've been accused of this since they started getting rid of Falun Gong people, which Falun Gong is like, it's like a kind of a fringe religion, to not put a candy coating on it, but
It's not really that fringy.
I mean, it's not super. I'm not saying it's like I'm not saying it's super fringe, but I'm just saying it's not like a
You just
mainstream.
said it's pretty fringy, Jordan.
I know, but what I'm trying to say about that, I'm not saying like, because I don't know enough about that religion to talk about it. I know they do a lot of meditation and things like that. I think those things are positive. I'm in favor of meditation. I'm in favor of prayer. These things like this. I think they're good for the people, and research bears that out. But what I'm saying is that it's not one of like the main. It's not like an Abrahamic religion or like Buddhism or Taoism. Like it's not a well-established religion. As some of the other ones are. But that's when it started, and because people don't have that connection to that religion, I think that a lot of it went under the radar. But now there are stories literally of because they do these organ removals that they do in China. This sounds conspiratorial, honestly, but like there are so many accounts of it that I've seen that I've believed it. Like at first when I started hearing these like claims and stuff, I was like, that sounds ridiculous. Like, that sounds crazy. But there are numerous documentations of them basically taking someone when they're alive and like slightly anesthetizing them so they can't move and cutting out their organs and then killing them. And there are reports basically that like high ups from like Saudi or like different, rich people from around the world and also in this the Chinese Communist Party will go and like get these organs put into them for a lot of money. So that's what they're getting their money from, is they're making a lot of money off of these organ transplants, because the organs go for a lot of money. You try to buy an organ on the black market, you're paying a couple $100,000, $1 million for some of these organs. So when you can, they clearly black bag people. That's obvious. Like they disappear people all the time. So this is allegedly what they're doing. Basically, is there a lot of these people, they're just literally dissecting them while they're alive. And their doctors basically have fled mainland China and reported on this. Like said, like, yeah, I was like basically forced to do these dissections, and then I got the fuck out of there because I was like evil as fuck.
Gross.
Yeah, it's gross. So, yeah, I don't know. What insights do you have about Xinjiang? I would like to hear, like, I don't know. What do you think about what's going on? Maybe we should detail more of what's going on, because I think a lot of people don't. When you say Xinjiang, most people don't know what the fuck any of that is. They don't even know. They barely know anything about China, I guess.
Okay, fine. I can give a quick overview.
Yeah, we can bounce back and forth.
Xinjiang is probably, I think it's the geographically largest region.
It is.
In China. Mm-hmm. It's in western China. It covers a good portion of the a couple desert ranges there. What are them? I don't know if it's the Gobi. There's another desert range too. Mm-hmm. Anyways, ethnically, it's majority Uyghur, but only just because the Chinese, after they started with a lot of the city deportations in the 1950s and stuff, they tried to push Han migration to the region. So now there's a population of Han, but they're mostly concentrated in the large cities.
I can give you the breakdown. It's 45% Uyghur. Those are the last statistics I saw. 45% Uyghur, and then 40% Han, and like a bunch of other basically Muslim minorities.
Kazakh,
Uzbek. What was it?
Hui.
I forget. Hui is the other one I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, the Hui's probably live a little bit further to the east and north there. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so the idea, I mean, what most human rights groups have been saying basically is that the objective of this is to basically eradicate Islam from China. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't know the truth of that. I don't know if anybody knows the truth of that, but it's disturbing. It's very disturbing.
Well, it's absolutely disturbing, and I mean,
my view of the region, it's basically, this is just like, okay, I should be really careful with what I say, but after the 1970s and the increase in Islamism as basically the repoliticization of the Islamic faith, what was previously a fairly secular population that was basically culturally Uyghur but religiously more or less secular, and had a lot of intermarriage with Chinese people, and basically a fairly distinct culture, became a little bit more Muslim after the 1970s, and the Chinese have been doing their best to try and reverse that flow, because China is completely focused on their idea of CCP progress at the expense of everything else. So basically, you have a population of these Uyghurs who have, in the eyes of the Chinese people, regressed in the past 50 years as opposed to progressing. So most of China, now people are better educated, people are more technologically savvy, people are focused on economic growth, and here you have a subpopulation that in the last 50 years, and not of their own fault, because they're definitely repressed and they don't have as much autonomy as they should, has perpetrated quite a few incidents of terrorism. So they have this region that's just kind of like a hotspot, a trouble region of separatism, of terrorism, of lack of progress. And not only that, but it kind of fucks up their One Belt, One Road initiative that's basically supposed to go right through this region, pulling oil out from the rest of Central Asia so they get these stable oil flows.
Real sorry to derail you, but like, can we probably also need to define One Belt, One Road for people.
I mean, One Belt, One Road has a million meanings, but essentially it's a Chinese grand idea, an infrastructure project that's supposed to develop basically the old Silk Road, and it's supposed to develop trade corridors throughout Central Asia all the way leading out to Europe, but it's turned into something completely different, and now it's basically part international financial institution giving Chinese loans to basically pariah states in exchange for political favors, and part development program, part infrastructure program, part China charity, part like China buying political stability in regions that are geopolitically important to them.
Yeah, they're basically pushing out all these like loans and things to even like Southeast Asian countries that they know can't repay them, and they're basically saying like, okay, you can't repay us, so like you need to vote with us in the UN, things like that. Basically, they're using
well,
it as like
it's worse than that sometimes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In Sri Lanka, basically, I don't want to use the word seized. They've taken control of basically a port, so they've established themselves an overseas, basically naval base, more or less, that in Sri Lanka, like right off the coast of one of their mortal enemies, India. So basically, they used it to purchase themselves more or less a military base, an abroad military. Unlike the U.S., which typically does it with allies, not indebted states, not slave states.
Not always, but I feel like the U.S. is the U.S. obviously has many more military bases, and I have problems with some of them. But I mean, this goes back to our conversation with Ray. I feel like that it's much more of a mixed bag, and you can't just like. I think you can say that some of the military bases we have, maybe we shouldn't have them. But for the most part, yes, I think you're absolutely right. They are with our allies. They're military base that we push for, but we are also often invited into these countries.
And I can say in the last 2 decades, when countries have told us basically, and excluding like Cuba, with we have a complicated agreement, when countries have asked us to get the fuck out of their territory when they've tried to close our military bases, the United States has complied. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And so, but yeah, anyway, I mean, just, yeah, that is it. I encourage everyone to, if you, you should be interested in these things, because this is like a very big shift in geopolitics and will be very important in the future. I mean, not to be dramatic about it, but it certainly could be life or death for some countries. But yeah, that's basically the One Belt, One Road thing. But yeah, back to Xinjiang, like.
So Xinjiang is in the middle of the One Belt, One Road. If it originally, as they wanted originally, was supposed to be a road leading all the way to Europe to create this kind of network of trade throughout Central and Southern Asia. Mm-hmm. It needs to lead straight through Xinjiang, and Xinjiang right now is a hotbed of, was in their eyes a hotbed of unrest, political dissent, and possible separatism. So they're just like, I mean, from their perspective, they're just like, fuck that, we're gonna put a lid on this, and they don't really care much for human rights. So what better than to put them all in concentration camps for a couple of years?
Yeah, I feel like that the word concentration camps was like, some people like kind of like, for obvious reasons were like, oh, like, be careful about using that word, but it's pretty clear that that's what they are now. And there's an estimated 1 to 3 million people. Like the Pentagon, I believe, the stat is 3 million, and there are estimates from other places that basically go between 1 and 3 million.
Yeah, mostly what I see about 2 million, but it's
and it's hard to say because China is such a closed off country. First,
yeah. Did you see the CNN reports even?
I probably looked at them briefly. I've been going through a lot of material, but why? What?
CNN's been really strong on this issue. So I'm sure you saw the report that CNN published a couple weeks ago, which is one of the first in one of these major news sources where they actually went in and they talked about this. But not only did they publish one on the concentration camps, but then they published a second one, basically talking about how they were censored. So basically, they were. The video is really interesting to watch. So they were traveling around Xinjiang there, and they're like, you should watch it, man. They're showing the minders. So basically, people were following them around. Police officers were doing document checks, roadblocks. They wouldn't let them get into certain areas. They're harassing them. They could see the same people waiting for them in the lobby of the hotel, waiting for them to leave, trailing them on the street. So they were basically recording all this process of how they were making it extremely difficult for them to record this.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this on either the last podcast or the one before, is that I've seen because I follow a lot of journalists that basically either are in China or frequently visit China, they're Chinese correspondents essentially, and that's what a lot of them have said is when I go to China, I have people that follow me around. I have people that basically, look at my every move, follow me around. I see the same people watching me from the same car, things like that. Or when I a lot of them that went to the Xinjiang, because it wasn't just CNN, and there's actually a lot of good journalism coming out of that right now, thankfully. And I'm glad that some people. I feel like a lot of the news agencies were very slow to cover this, and I can understand why. They don't want to publicize something before it's they can affirm that it's a true story, but at the same time I feel like a lot of them were a little slow to get on it, but a lot of them are saying the same thing now and basically saying that this is they gave us quote unquote access to these camps, these quote unquote re-education camps, but a lot of them have said, a lot of these journalists have said, don't believe all of the things that you see in this video because it was clearly curated for our visit. They cleaned everything up. They made sure everyone was smiling and happy, and they can basically
Listen, I mean, it's a joke. You look at the pictures of these places. They've got 8-foot high barbed wire and guard towers with armed guards. This vocational centers. I'm sorry, they don't have barbed wire higher than the height of a person covering the walls. They just don't. It's pretty obvious what they are. These are not voluntary. Period. So.
Well, and there's a lot of stories coming out now, which these are things that people have been saying for a long time, but with the proliferation of social media, I feel like it gets easier for these things to be heard and understood. Is there are people who are basically ABCs or these Uyghur minorities, these Muslim minority people from Xinjiang coming to the U.S., these maybe second generation, and they will get calls from their parents who are in these concentration camps. Basically, I read one today, this story about there was one of these Uyghur people that was in the United States or Canada, I forget which one. They're in North America, and they said that their mother, who was in a concentration camp, was let out of the concentration camp, sent to another relative's house, and gave them a call and said, you need to stop speaking out about this stuff because I'm in a camp, and the Chinese government said you need to be quiet about this, and basically if you don't, ellipsis, you need to stop. And then they went, and then they got sent back to the camp. So, and we've this has been documented in other ways, the elderly in China. You've said this to me before, they'll protest basically, and then the CCP will basically call the younger relatives and be if your mom doesn't stop protesting, you're gonna lose your job, things like this. If you don't use, and we've talked about it before too, the Xi Jinping app. If you don't use it enough, you don't get a raise. The social control goes so deep in China that they will use any avenue that they can, including blackmail or forcing your relatives to call you and say hey, if you don't stop speaking out about what this horrific thing that's going on right now, I don't need to say any more. You need to stop talking about this.
Yep.
And it's sick, man. And the fucking Olympics are going to be held in fucking China soon.
What?
Like-
Which Olympics?
It's 2022, I believe. I've been trying to get banned by the Beijing 2020.
Really? I haven't heard about this.
Yeah, it's I've been tweeting at them like, so basically, because they're having it's the Paralympics and Olympics. Yeah, 2022. It's the Winter Olympics and Paralympic Games.
Oh,
So basically,
yeah, that's the Paralympics.
It's the Winter Olympics too, I believe. Maybe it hasn't been confirmed yet, but they're trying to like push for the Olympics there.
Nobody cares about the Olympics anyways, to be honest, though. Yeah, you're right.
I agree with you, and what I would say to people is go read your article about the Olympics. I made some of my students read that, and I think it's very important. But yeah, basically they would like be like, oh, this is like a great example of teamwork, and like, oh, you know, what kind of things should we do during the Olympic things? And I was like, set the fucking Uyghurs free, and like no one will respond to me, like they. Like, and I know a lot of the quote unquote China watchers and like Taiwan people have like got banned by them for basically saying like, hey, maybe before you hold the Olympic Games, you should let the fucking 3 million people out of the concentration camps that you currently have.
It's pretty funny.
It's funny and sad at the same time.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it is 2022.
Yeah. So everyone should I don't know. I don't really care about the Olympics. I haven't for a long time.
Well, the Olympics was so corrupt, man, and the IOC just like sucks China's dick, so it's not surprising that.
Yeah, it's not surprising at all.
The IOC is completely corrupt, so, and I have written an article about that and their relationship with China.
It's a very good article, man. Like when I read that, I was like, damn. That's why I made some of my students read it, because it was around the time we had the Gongtao, the referendum. Basically, Taiwan had the referendum, and so it's like right after that, and like a lot of my students, because I asked them about like what they think about this kind of stuff, and they were like, yeah, you know, like we don't want to make anyone upset. Basically, like, you know, we're okay with like being Chinese Taipei, and I was like, you know, like this is like super corrupt and like blah 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 blah, and they were like, really? Like, I don't know. I was like, okay, we're gonna read this article. Like, we're gonna learn something about this. I'm like, here you go. And they were like, oh shit, like, yeah, this is pretty fucked up. So I strongly encourage everyone to go check out that article. It's very well done. Not to suck Free China Post dick too much.
Free China Post is like the most amazing news source that probably I've ever read, so.
I mean, it should be behind a paywall, but, you know, they haven't done it yet. So get it while it's hot. Get it while it's free, you know? I could see, you know, $15 Netflix subscription coming to that thing soon. You got anything else you want to talk about now that we've talked about like the most depressing topic in the world?
Veganism.
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's good, man. I feel good. Like
That's what I want to hear.
I talked about this with my class like literally today. I was like, they were like, oh, one of the girls was like eating G-pie. I was like, that smells good. Like I kind of want to eat that. And she's like, oh yeah, like G-pie's good. And they're like,
I'd rather eat your G-pie.
That's gross. That's so gross. But I was like,
I said G-pie.
I was like, but I'm not eating meat this month. And they're like, oh, because you're losing weight. And I was like, yeah, partially. But I was like, more because
you're losing. That was a fat joke.
They're like, you fat fuck. No, but
oh,
teacher's fat. But
wow, they're just roasting you.
Oh no, I roast them so much harder, so it's okay. They can roast me now and again. And I'm not fat, but I'm fatter than I should be. So, but I have lost a little weight.
Sick.
And I haven't been eating super healthy on the vegan diet. So
as long as you're going vegan, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter. You'll still lose weight. You'll still feel better, even if you cheat. No, not cheat, but like today, I ate a lot of crackers and I ate a lot of white flour bread, like an animal, because I just didn't have enough time to cook the healthy stuff.
And sometimes it's okay. I mean, there's things like cheat days and things like that. I think that's okay as long as you keep it to a very minimum thing. And to full disclosure here, there's been, I think, 3 days that I've eaten eggs. Like today was one of them because I went to.
Jesus, Jordan.
I know the first time was accidental. I got like some some bibimbap or something, and they put eggs in it. When I thought I asked them not to, but they did, and I was like, I have to eat, and I'm not gonna just throw this whole.
What you should have done is just taken a spoon and just thrown the egg on the floor in protest.
Well, it was scrambled basically into the rice, so I was like,
Sure,
fuck it, it's fine. And there was another time I went to a Korean restaurant, and she was already cooking it all together. And she was like, "Eggs okay, right?" And I was like, "Not really, but okay." And I go there all the time, so I was like, "Okay, fine, yeah, that's fine. It's fine this time." And today I went to, I posted that picture of the ramen that I got, and that had egg in it, a little egg in it too. So.
Yeah.
But that's 3 times I've ate egg. I haven't eaten any meat for, 23 days-ish now, 23, 24 days. So I feel like I've been doing pretty good. But my point in telling the story about my class today was I was like, yeah, I haven't eaten meat in 23 days. And they were like, wow, that's crazy. I couldn't do that. And I was like, yeah, you could. I was like, it's not. The first 2, maybe 3 days were hard. And after that, and not that hard. It was just oh, I feel a little bit hungry. I have these cravings for things that I haven't eaten. But now it's oh, I feel pretty good. And they were like, oh, at least you only have 8 more days or whatever. And I was like, yeah, but after this, I probably will still maybe every once in a while I'll eat some meat. But I don't really have a desire to eat meat.
Oh my gosh, you're converted.
You flipped me, dude.
I flipped you. I flipped you to become a.
You tricked me. You tricked me into being a conscientious person.
Fool me once. Shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Oh no, I was gonna make a gay joke, but.
I turned you into a gay boy. It's all right. Gay marriage
Turns
is
you into
legal.
Mike Pence.
Gay marriage is legal in Taiwan now, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but Mike Pence's problem is that he's a closeted gay.
Yeah, that's true. It's unfortunate, and he needs to just come out.
Mother needs to come out. By mother I mean his wife, because that's her name. She needs to come out as a man.
My mother takes care of me. That's why I'll never drink around other women.
I never drink around anyone except mother.
Mom only lets me drink around her.
Oh, yeah.
Because otherwise I get handsy.
Mother won't let me drink around other women. Just man, it just sounds creepy. It just sounds fucking creepy.
For anyone that doesn't know, too, that's true. Mike Pence has come out and been like, I don't do meetings with other women. I'm never.
I won't meet with any other woman without mother in the room.
And I won't drink without mother in the room because I might get handsy like Joe Biden.
I can just imagine Joe Biden in the 1970s when Mike Pence was still less ancient. Joe Biden probably had one too many drinks, got a little handsy with Mike Pence, and
just grabbed those big, strong shoulders, and Mike Pence is like, "Oh yes."
I can never reveal the truth of my feelings about this incident. Mother, will you marry me?
Mother, marry me so I don't have to go to conversion therapy.
Oh my gosh, my mother would never send me to conversion therapy.
Oh, what a piece of shit.
Well, man, after the impeachment, he's going to be the next president.
Michael Fruit Pence, the 55th president of the United States.
Okay, so
Michael Fruit Salad Pence.
That's his middle name, right?
I kind of wonder what his middle name is because all these old people.
Raspberry.
Michael Tater Tot Pence.
Tater Tot. Alright, let's see. Oh, so boring. Dick.
Oh, Mike Dick Pence. It makes sense though.
No, it's Richard, but I mean Dick. Same thing.
Well, you know.
He's only 59, so he definitely got touched by Joe Biden back in the day.
Oh, for sure.
He got a little shoulder massage. Who knows where it went from there? Don't know if his mother was in the room or not at the time.
We can't speculate, nor if he had drinks.
It's possible that he hadn't married his mother yet. He was still a single guy.
I don't know how long they've been married, but it seems like he probably would have married pretty young because he was trying to escape those urges.
Well, I mean, he probably knew his mother for most of his life, so.
Do they have children, by the way?
I've never consummated the marriage with mother.
Well, speaking of like because like obviously we don't have any issue with like gay people, but what I have an issue with is like closeted people that like
85, 3 children.
Like, oh yeah, he definitely got touched by Biden. That's surprising that they have so many. Well, he's a religious fundamentalist, so he probably like artificially inseminated his wife 3 times. But anyway, jerked off to Joe Biden's face.
If I enjoy this, then the children won't be real. I'll have to put them up for adoption, so
Well, hey,
please allow me to be mechanically ejaculated. And then we're going to inject the effluent into your uterus via this very long syringe.
have you seen the machines, the jerk off machines in China?
No, I didn't think that was real.
I need to post a picture of it with this episode, just like I'm gonna post a picture from the last episode about the girl cutting the renminbi, the Mao out of the renminbi.
Oh yeah.
but there's these ejaculation machines. It was like big on Taiwanese Twitter for a while. It's basically like for men that are like too embarrassed to jerk off in a hospital, and so like they like have these like suction machines that just like fucking gurgle the semen out of your.
That is the weirdest fucking shit.
It looks horrifying, dude. Like, I imagine in a couple years they're gonna have like multiple incidents of just like little Chinese boys getting their dicks ripped off by these fucking machines. It's disgusting. But anyway, what I was gonna say earlier is like the whole closeted thing is like Lindsey Graham, like.
Is Lindsey Graham, has he come out yet?
He's got to, man. He's like, and this is the thing. Again, I was so happy because recently Taiwan became the first fucking country. I'm mad about. There's so many people on Twitter from like around the globe, basically saying like, the territory of Taiwan, the state of Taiwan has come out in favor of gay marriage. Fuck you. It's a country. Taiwan is the first country in Asia to legalize gay marriage. Fuck yeah, bitches. Let's go. That shit is awesome. But, that being said, I am not in favor of people who are fucking closeted making laws against people who want to be openly gay. Or even closetedly gay. Like, that's fine as long as you're not anti-gay. Lindsey Graham, if there is a closeted Republican, that is one of them. He's yeah. I don't like to speculate on people's sexuality, but he's like these conservative Christians. Like
Chelsea Handler accused him of being gay last year, and he said, "To the extent that it matters, I'm not gay."
Well, I'll tell you something, little sister. To the extent that it matters, I'm not gay. You know that? You know that? That's what I'll tell you right now. He's just the sassiest little Southern boy, and
yeah,
it would be great if he flipped and became like a fucking like flaming Democrat, not to be too on the nose, but if he were just like, actually yeah, and the people that I've been like in bed with, sorry for the anyway, to the people that I've been like working with are totally against me, and if they knew that I was gay, they would treat me as a subhuman, a second-class citizen, and so fuck that, I'm gonna be a Democrat and I'm gonna fight for equality. Then I'd be like, fuck yeah, Lindsay, let's go. Let's fucking, yeah, you strut your shit. But right now, he's a fucking piece of shit. And he's one of the worst Republicans. So I'm going to make fun of him. And, yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't like to comment on people's sexuality, but if anyone's a closeted homosexual, I think it will probably be him, allegedly. I don't want to get sued.
We're not going to get sued. I mean, this is, we're basically like Alex Jones.
Well, We might get deplatformed then.
Deplatformed from what?
From YouTube.
Oh my goodness. We're going to lose our, like, grand total of, what do we have? Only like 30,000 followers or something. It's really...
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
not a big deal.
30,000 is not that much, but it's still something, you know? We do what we can with what we got, you know? And, so yeah. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. Lindsey Graham he's a special boy, and I think it would be good for the Republicans for some of these people to come out. Like there are many Republicans that basically they get caught all the time, and then they eventually come out in favor of gay rights. Or this is the thing I've noticed about Republicans is a lot of times unless it affects them, they don't care about it. So, for instance, there's a lot of Republicans basically like for instance, like I believe it's Dick Cheney, vehement homophobe
until his daughter.
Until his daughter comes out, and then his daughter comes out, and he's like before he's like, I don't like gay people having sex, and I think that you should waterboard people that are brown. And then it's like his daughter is like, yeah, actually I'm a lesbian, and he's like, I still think that you should waterboard brown people, but being gay is okay, I think. And it's just like, wow, well, yeah, fuck you, you know? You're not principled. You just only care about stuff that affects you.
I think, honestly, I don't think it's helpful to debate to say that he's not principled. His principles are just wrong, but this is a debatable thing, you know? But to say that he doesn't have principles...
What's a debatable thing?
Whether waterboarding constitutes torture, whether torture works. I think torture is abhorrent. I think torture is evil. But to say that it's not a valid viewpoint doesn't accurately reflect the fact that half of Americans think torture is valid. Because
I think you need to be honest about it and say that yes, waterboarding is torture because it is. And second of all, that I
agree with you.
A ton of evidence that shows that torture does not work, and actually what works better is sitting that person down and talking to them like a rational human being.
And you know what? Having that debate is a much better way to deal with it than saying that he is not principled, that he doesn't have a valid viewpoint. It may be wrong.
On that, maybe he does have a quote-unquote principled viewpoint. I think it's an abhorrent one, and I think it's disgusting.
Your principles don't have to align with ours.
Clearly, he's not principled on the gay marriage thing, because he flipped right away when his daughter came out as being a lesbian.
Well,
so that shows that you're not principled.
If
I was principled on torture, okay, I'm principled on torture. I think torture is wrong. I think it's disgusting. And I think anyone that perpetrates it should be tried at The Hague and fucking put in jail.
Yeah, but for him, in his defense, I agree with you, I suppose. But in his defense, basically, I guess he would say that once he encountered it, it's kind of like all these people who at one point in their life maybe have racist tendencies, and then they encounter someone, they have their own personal experiences with these issues, and it changes their mind, I guess.
So that's not a principled stance.
Yeah, well, but okay.
That's a bigoted stance.
No, it's a principle that he holds now, or he held then, and then he changed his principle. And I agree with you, that's not a firm principle. That's not to say that it's not a principle. But anyway.
So what does principle constitute? How do you constitute a principle?
Kind of like a deeply held belief, but that doesn't mean that it can't change.
Okay, I guess if that's how you want to define it, then that's fine.
How would you define it?
Well, I'm just saying, the way I would think of like a principle belief is like you've researched it thoroughly, and
maybe you did.
You've tried to steel man your opponent. You say like, this is the opposition. You take it into account, and you say like, okay, well, like this is what the opponents think, and like this is actually what they think, and then I'm gonna hold my belief against that. Maybe he did, but if he did, then he's very evil. Like that's a really shitty belief to have. And I think that's like a common Republican thing to do, though.
Jordan, what if you found out that suddenly you actually really like torturing people?
So here's what I would say. This is what I was going to say about torture. Is even if a close family member of mine came out and started torturing people to get information for the government, I would not be in favor of that. I guess I've never had that experience, so maybe I would, but I would say that I don't think I would, and I almost can tell you with 100% accuracy that I wouldn't. And I would condemn them, and I would say that's a terrible thing to do, and you're doing a bad thing, and it's shown via evidence that is not a thing that brings forward good intelligence.
So let me ask you this. Okay, I agree with you. In principle, I agree with you, and I think that torture gives bad information. But let's say you had a terrorist, like the 24-hour scenario, and there was like a nuclear device hidden somewhere in New York City, and you had 24 hours to extract the information, and everyone's had a shot, nobody can crack them, and the only option left is to try torture. Would you do it?
Obviously, that's like a very difficult situation. I will answer your question, but first I would like to preface this and say that that has never been the situation.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but this is the thing that they always do. I'm preparing you for your presidential debate.
I agree, and so I would say that that is a. I understand why you're doing it, and I think that you raise a good point. But when Republicans bring this up, or I shouldn't even say Republicans, when pro-torture people bring this up, it is in bad faith, and you should not listen to the evidence, not listen to the answers that come out of this.
So what's your answer?
My answer would be no, because it has never been shown to work. There's no evidence that shows that torturing, they will give you the wrong answer time and time again, and it's never been shown to work. What I would do instead is try to
preemptively nuke New York, so that the terrorist has no leverage anymore.
If I had 24 hours, I would do 12 hours of. So what do you think? I try to reason with them. Maybe I would do. So if I had 24 hours, I'd probably do 20 hours of trying to reason with them. I'd bring them some beers. I'd try to get them a little drunk, and I'd be like, hey, listen, bro. If you tell us the answers, I will give you the most opulent lifestyle.
Yeah, right.
As president of the United States.
Okay, let's assume this is a terrorist.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter. They don't drink, Jordan. They're going to be like, fuck you, infidel, and spit in your face.
Actually, a lot of them do. But say he was a principled terrorist. Most of these terrorists are not principled.
Most of the ones who actually do the job. If you're talking about a long-term planned attack.
Okay, but if you want to get down to brass tacks about it, a lot of the people that we have in Gitmo and things like that, they're people that we talk to warlords with, and we were like, hey, warlords, we know that you're full of shit, but could you just send us some people? And they send us people that didn't do anything, like some local villagers. So in that case, it doesn't matter anyway, and I don't want to torture an innocent person. In the other case, say they don't drink. Say they are a quote-unquote principled terrorist. I shouldn't say Muslim, because not all terrorists are Muslim. Actually, in America, almost none of them are. And last year, 0 of them were, and all of them are right.
Man, you just keep changing the subject. What would you do?
But
just say it.
I'm getting to it.
Oh, gosh. Come on.
Oh, shut the fuck up. So, no, I would not torture them. That's my answer, is I wouldn't torture them. Would you use
psychological torture?
Define psychological torture. Like, I would try to psychologically bend them to my will, but I wouldn't.
Oh.
I see
where you're going with this.
Define torture then.
Okay, I think Jordan's idea is he's going to set up a camera in the corner and say, this is going to be broadcast on Muslim public access in every network in the world, and then have a team of gay strippers come in and do a progressively promiscuous lap dance.
No, what I would
and then
okay, go ahead.
Continue until you have to bring the animals in. A little bit
Are you talking about bestiality situation?
Yes.
No, I wouldn't.
And when you say bend to your will, I assume that you meant you wouldn't physically torture them, but you maybe would cause them to be sexually tortured by these animals, gay strippers, and then you tell them that they're live streaming this to their family, and that if they don't tell you the information right now, not only will they burn in hell, but their entire family will realize that they're a gay animal fucker.
It sounds like Ari 2028, who I will be voting for president.
Thank you.
No,
and that's how you flip a terrorist.
No, what I would do is I would try to reason with them for maybe 20 hours, and then I would be very, very hard on them. But I wouldn't
hard on them.
Super hard. But no, I wouldn't torture because what if they know that they have 24 hours? What are they going to do? They're going to lie to you for 24 hours. Because okay, for instance, like if you're going to do like
they can withhold the torture.
It doesn't matter if they give you false information. So if you say we're like,
well, it's verifiable. So maybe they give
what is
one.
No, what is the scenario? Give me a scenario. Then.
Okay, there's a nuclear bomb, let's say, hidden somewhere in the United States, and it's going to go off in 24 hours. So whatever, they give you a place, you have a team go check the place, and if they lie to you, the torture gets progressively worse.
But you know how much time that takes. So you say, the terrorists could say, all I know is that it's in New York City around Times Square. You know how much time it takes to go search Times Square?
I mean, that's not useful information. Then that's not useful information.
But if that's all, if that's all they say they have,
that's all they say they have. Then
you keep torturing them
to death.
Yeah, exactly. And then eventually, either you kill them or you keep torturing them for 24 hours.
Or you just turn them gay and shame them in front of their family. Let them get.
They don't care though. If a bomb is gonna blow up, a nuclear bomb is gonna blow up. They know they're gonna die anyway. These people, they get caught by the U.S.
Well, no, you say, I mean, the nuclear bomb might blow up New York, but you're gonna stay here forever, and your family every day for the rest of their life. You know, we know their cell phone numbers, and they're gonna get like a cell phone video a day, every day of you boning this pig, you know, with a gay stripper, tickling your bum.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think that's immoral and unethical.
You mean my plan?
Is that your plan?
Yes.
All right, then I'm in favor of it.
That's psychological torture.
Nah, I'm against torture.
I mean, I guess it's a form of physical torture. That would be a form of, I guess, rape, I guess.
That would be that would be physical. Either you're making them rape the pig or the pig is raping them. That's definitely physical.
It would definitely be more effective. Well, maybe you could combine that with some other forms of physical torture.
Such as?
Well, one of the most effective ones has always been where you drive nails underneath people's fingernails.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to work pretty well.
I mean, it's true, and to be fair, torture can work. Just full disclosure, torture can work, but it's from the evidence that I've seen, it doesn't work as well as treating the person like a human and discussing with them. Because
what if you don't have enough time though? Would you castrate a Gitmo detainee to save New York City? Yes or no? 10 seconds.
No.
10. 9.
No.
No.
Did I say no enough times?
It's because you don't like New York City, but what if I changed that to Taiwan? 10, 9, 8, 7.
Yes. No, I don't think.
So you change the context to get different answers.
I'm obviously kidding.
I'm not sure.
I mean, okay. Here's what I'll tell you.
Let's change the context. No more brown people. Let's say the Taiwanese government captured a high-level communist official from the CCP, okay, and they found out that there's a plan within 24 hours to invade Taiwan, and only this official can give them the information that they need to stop the invasion.
Okay, so here's what I tell you.
Yeah.
Would I want to torture that individual? Yes.
Let's say that he's been interrogated by the best interrogators in the country for already 72 hours. This is your last 24 hours. And trust me, you're not going to be better than the best investigator or the best interrogators.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are you going to do?
I think the more important thing to do in that situation is to start contacting your allies and getting them to come to your side.
They already did that. They're like, fuck you, you're on your own. Torture the bastard. Find out what the plan is.
Would I want to torture him? Absolutely.
Would you?
Would I? I mean, obviously, I'm in a privileged position right now. Like, I don't have to actually torture them, so I would say no. No, I wouldn't. Would I do it in that situation? There's a potential that I might, but I would like to say
Jordan's
that, no,
moral compass is cracking. I know.
No, I just want to be honest. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, of course, like I think maybe there is a chance that I would, but I would like to say no. And if I could look at it from an objective standpoint, I would say no because I don't think that it's useful.
Well, let me ask you something else. I've been watching a really dumb Netflix show, which is basically like a modern teenage version of Lord of the Flies. Okay, so all these teenagers trapped in this city basically, and it's just surrounded by forest. So there's a murderer in the city. So they don't want to start with capital punishment because they're all teenagers. They're all like literal liberal hippies. But basically, they say if we just let him go, he's just gonna. There's no way to keep him out. He's just gonna come back and kill people in their sleep or something like that.
Yeah.
So in that case, what would you do? Would you kill the guy?
That's a good question. Again, principally, on principle, no. But I would probably try to figure out something that I would probably try to figure out another route to take with that, like
amputation.
He's a murder. I mean, I would probably put him under like constant watch. I mean,
they don't have the resources.
Where is this set? Where is this Netflix series?
Connecticut.
Well, if it was
in Connecticut.
Oh yeah, then you just get a gun and you follow him around.
I mean, they don't have the resources. That's the thing. So
why not?
They just don't. Okay, you can watch the show if you're interested.
I'm not that interested, but I would say, yeah, I think you just you follow him around
forever.
Or a police detail.
Police detail.
So he is legitimately a murderer.
It's like a Lord of the Flies setting. Okay, so basically, like, they're on their own. There's no adults for like. Basically, I mean, nobody knows really. It's like a parallel universe. Their town. They're just set in like the forest somewhere. They just have like a little town set in the forest. They have buildings and shit, but there's no people.
Then you should have more than enough time to watch over this guy.
Yeah, but they need to focus on food. They need to keep order because again, it's a bunch of fucking teenagers. So like they're always fighting each other and like causing problems.
Then I mean, maybe you put him in some sort of confinement.
They don't have anywhere. They don't have a prison. They don't have a jail.
Well, then this is completely outside of the realm of like normal society.
That's the whole point. Lord of the Flies situation. You don't have the resources. Like you read Lord of the Flies, right?
Yeah, of course.
This group of boys trapped on the island. Okay, one of them is a killer. I mean, what do? Throw him off the island? There's nowhere to go. If you kick him out of the group, he'll still be on the island. He's still a threat. There's nowhere to do. There's no infrastructure.
I think that's why you have some sort of guard duty.
Yeah, but that's taxing. It takes, and not only that, but you probably need more than one guard. You need shifts. What happens if he wakes up in the middle of the night to run away? That's
why you should have guards anyway. I mean, if you're on a deserted island by your lonesome, like you should have shifts anyway. You don't know what the fuck is on that island.
Basically, if you have one person here, you have one prisoner. Imagine that you need 3 shifts. That means it's going to take 3 people's entire lives just to guard this person for his life. In a society, it makes sense. Because of the prisoners, I mean, the number of prisoners we have is far outstripped by the number of population. But in a small setting like this, you've got less than 100 people. 3 of those, like let's say you got 80 people. Okay? 90 people. So 3 of them. So 3 out of 90 people is like over 3%. Let's say 100 people. Make the math easy. So 3% of your entire workforce, 3% of your entire population is set to guard one person. Is that worth your resources?
I don't think it's just set to guard one person. I think it would guard against. This is why we have a police force.
You have a police force. This guy's already a murderer, though. That's the idea. That he's a murderer. So you need to keep constant watch on him.
So you build a bamboo jail. I don't know. That's what I would say. You build a bamboo jail, and then you have people that keep watch over him.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it were me, I'd probably build something. Or, I think amputation is probably better than the death penalty.
Amputation is better than the death penalty, but I still think that the state should not be doing those sort of things. Rehabilitate the guy. You know? And
I mean,
that's dangerous. It's dangerous.
It's not dangerous. There's a bunch of teenagers. How the fuck are they going to rehabilitate this guy?
Well, of course. I mean, we're talking about a ridiculous situation here. But yeah.
If he took his arms off, he wouldn't be able to. I mean, he could try and bite somebody to death. Maybe pull his teeth out, too.
I still feel like that's torture, so I'm not super in favor.
It's not torture because once the stumps heal, he can still have a pretty, not a normal life, but he wouldn't be a productive person anymore. He would just
not at all.
It would be like an armless, toothless, bumbling,
yeah,
just a monster.
Like
he would just be a
monster. At that point, you just have to like get him drunk every day. You just be the town drunk. Maybe it could be entertainment.
That would be the saddest town drunk ever. Oh my gosh.
I mean, what else do you do? I mean, that's the thing. It's like
lobotomy.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Castration.
I don't think castration may just make him more angry.
Well, no, because he won't have any testosterone.
Might lower his testosterone, but that just, I mean, there are plenty of female murderers, and they're usually much more crafty. So you might make him craftier.
Yeah.
He just murders the whole town with, like, almond extract, because he just figures out how to poison everybody. Because that's how females usually kill people, is via poison.
Wow, this is getting really misogynistic.
Those are facts. I mean, you know, there are women that blunt force murder other men, and with guns and knives and things like that. But the way that most female murderers murder people is via poisoning.
Have you been reading like 18th century almanacs? Everyone knows that's not true. The way that most women kill people is
nagging.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kidding. I hope that our female listeners don't get upset with us. But
it's with starting Twitter wars. Starting fucking ugly hashtags that bring men down.
If women are the ones that start Twitter wars, I think that maybe you might need to change your gender.
Whatever. They start angry hashtags. They start really
hashtag mansplaining. Hashtag
mansplaining. Oh my gosh! You just found my trigger word.
Triggers. Oh man, this is also on the last podcast. I love finding your little triggers where you get upset about tone policing and things like that. It's so fun.
Oh my gosh, it's not fun at all. Fucking you would.
Mansplaining.
What the fuck is mansplaining? That's not a thing. Okay, if you want to justify it, do your best.
All right, I think it is a thing because. So listen, I understand.
Don't mansplain to me.
I'm gonna mansplain. Hold on.
Listen.
All right, sit down. I need to mansplain some things to you. So this is how I feel, and this goes to the misogyny argument,
now you're
and the racism argument.
This is how I feel.
Hold on. I'm in my safe space. You need to be quiet.
Oh my gosh. Oh my fucking god.
This is how all of these things go for me. Is, you know, racism, misogyny, anti-Semitism, things like that. For real. Like, I think that all of those things are obviously completely real, and I think they happen. And so this is, I think, when people talk about mansplaining, when they're being genuine and honest about it, I feel like they say that because there are instances of men basically be like, hold on, woman, like, let me tell you about, like, how this is. And, oh, you don't understand because you're too emotional. Or you must be on your period. Like, I think that is where, like, the real mansplaining comes from, and I think that is valid. When you're, like, trying to explain to some woman, like, how her life is, even though you have no context for how that goes. But it has been co-opted by a lot of these, like, it's like the social justice thing where it's like, okay, like, a lot of these people on the right that are like, these pink-haired liberals on the college campuses, and like, yeah, okay, I get it. Like, there are radical people that basically if a man says anything to a woman or a person of color, and then they're gonna be like, oh, well, like, you're mansplaining, you're like white-splaining or whatever it is, and like, yeah, okay, we can have a discussion about that, and like, sometimes that's like not valid. Like, what you're saying is not valid, but I understand where that's coming from. So it's just like yeah. I want to hear that out before I'm gonna like just be like, oh, like that term is dumb, even though like I may think that like it's overused and heavy-handed in a lot of instances. It's just like, okay, yeah, all right, let's hear what you have to say, and then if your explanation is not valid or not well thought out, then I'm gonna be like, yeah, you're not right. You're just not right. So that's where I land on a lot of that stuff. It's like, okay, let's hear your explanation.
My explanation?
Yeah. No, I mean like if someone is like, this person is like quote unquote mansplaining to me or something like that, like, because it does happen, like it definitely happens, and like these are things that happen. Or you're speaking like white privilege. Like
it's
I think
not only like men. There are people who do that because of age. There are people who do that because of position. There are people who do that because of their personality. Some people are just pompous fucking assholes who think they're better, who think they know more for whatever reason. They're older. Mm-hmm. They think they're wiser. Yep. They think they have more experience. They think they're smarter. So yeah, for sure it happens. But to basically to make that a gendered thing, yeah, of course it happens sometimes because of gender. But being condescending is not a gendered thing. Being condescending is being condescending.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, and that's
the truth.
That's why. And that right there is the truth, boys and girls. No, in general, I would agree with you, and that's what. Sandy Hook is an inside job.
Black flag attack.
But that's why.
False flag.
That's why I think. Yeah, false flag, not black flag. Black flag is just an Assassin's Creed game.
So.
But here's what I think is like. Yeah, I in general I agree with you, and that's why I think that we need to be very careful in how we use these terms.
Anything that became a term after it trended on Twitter is not a real word. Let me just state that for the record.
I don't know. It depends. Like
besides
I
covfefe.
Like covfefe.
No, that's not a word either. Sorry.
Sorry, Donnie.
I don't know. I like some of that stuff is fun and it's useful sometimes. And
yeah, it's fun for like
it's
little
enjoyable.
Silly conversations, over a drink at the pub. But it's not like useful for like a real political conversation.
So that's what I'd get into is like I think that like we should just go back to, but this is again that it becomes the thing where it's just like, okay, like this has already become part of the narrative. So like, what do you do with that? Like it is part of it. So like, yeah, in a lot of ways I would agree with you. I think we should people need to be more accurate with the words that they use. We need to be more careful with the way we use words. But then again, that gets some people to be like, oh, like you're like policing speech and things like that. So I think it's difficult, but I think that's where we need to have conversations. So like if someone uses a word that we don't necessarily agree with, I don't think that you should just dismiss them out of hand. You should be like, okay, well, can you define that term? Can we have a conversation about that? And if you're not willing to have a conversation with that, then like obviously you're closed-minded.
Yeah.
Whether you're on the far left or far right. And I think
speaking of being closed-minded, both of those words are dead. Remember. So right. I don't want you to use them.
If you're, can I say liberal and conservative?
I'm trying to be ironic because we're talking about policing words.
I know. You're policing my speech, Ari, and I appreciate that. But yeah, I don't know. I like
if I'm not allowed to say insert drop here, then you're not allowed to say liberal and conservative.
I tend to agree with that. I think with some of these words, like, because that's the thing is, and then it gets, but this is where I have hope is that a lot of these terms like will pop up and then
they disappear just as fast as they can.
And they exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like
hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. We're getting in on it. So basically, like, these terms like mansplain, manspread, like I had conversations in my college classes about them, and even my female professors who were like strong feminists would basically be like, Like manspreading came up. Manspreading.
Oh,
came
Jesus
up,
Christ!
you
I
know.
sat next to a lady who was like half asleep on the train today, and her legs were spread so wide. It's like it's supposed to be a
That's the thing,
two-person
and
chair.
I have female students that spread super wide, and some of the boys in class are like, oh yeah, like, hey, I'm trying to sit here, like, can you, like, you know, give me some space?
Oh, that's what they're
I think
saying, huh?
I think everyone should have personal space. Shut the fuck up. but
I'm trying to sit here, Carl.
they would probably say like, Sashawa, like some bullshit. But it doesn't matter. Like, that's the thing. Is like, it's just like, yeah, why don't we talk about like general things? And I get it. Like, I understand where a lot of these people come from. It's like women have been like subjugated and subjected to a lot of things, and they still are in a lot of ways. Like, it still happens. Like, it's not like a thing of the past. It is a thing of the present. So I understand these gripes and things like that. But at the same time, in a lot of ways, it is counterproductive to just use these terms like mansplaining, manspreading. And it's like, yeah, it's fun to use those things, and sometimes it's funny, and sometimes, like, you know, it's humorous, and so it can be positive. And I think humor can be excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Can be used to make these things positive. But when you're talking with someone who is like vehemently opposed to you, and you actually want to bring them to your side, using these terms just makes you a laughing stock. And I agree that, like,
True.
in some of these cases, that it shouldn't. And the people that are arguing against you are wrong. But you need to be. That is why, like, as much as I hate to say words are important, because it kind of also speaks to that. It's like, oh yeah, well, like, you know, manspreading is a thing, mansplaining is a thing. Like, it is a thing. Like, words are important, so we need to be careful about how we talk about these things. And also, people need to stop being snowflakes so much. So it's like it's a both and, not an either or.
Yeah, Ben Carson.
Yeah, Ben Carson. Falling asleep at the mic and not understanding what a REO is and thinking that it means Oreo.
Black and white cookie. I remember back in 1925, my grandpappy. Wow, I'm getting real bad. I should stop.
No, it's okay. I like it.
I don't need to use like racially loaded words like grandpappy.
No, grandpappy is not a racially loaded word. That's a country thing. And so
Is
I
he even
think
a
it's
country
okay.
person?
I don't think he is.
He
but
has a
that-
little bit of a
but
country accent. Where the fuck is he from?
He might be. You should look it up. But he's so fun to make fun of. He's just, because he's always asleep. He's just like,
Benjamin Solomon Costin Sr.
my name is.
Oh, he's from Detroit. Shit.
Benjamin Carson. And
Well, I don't know why I thought that he had any kind of accent. Maybe it's.
I like Oreos. I like to open them up.
He
and,
did, man. Okay, his parents.
Dip them into the milk and.
His parents are both from rural Georgia, so.
That's probably
So
why.
yeah, he definitely has
That's
some
probably
influence
why.
from his parents. Or his
He's just.
grandpappy.
He's always asleep at the wheel, man. That dude is constantly asleep at the wheel. And the questioning that went on about him recently, which everyone should go check out, and I'll probably try to put some drops in, is just he just has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to HUD. He's just like, I'm here, and Trump just told me to do my thing, and bought a new desk, and I'm just
Do you know what an REO is?
An Oreo?
No, not an Oreo.
R-
An REO. REO.
Real estate?
He's such a tool, man. Like, and I mean that in the real sense. He's just a tool for the establishment. He's a token, and I don't like using this word, but he's a token. He's the token black guy.
You know what else?
And
he's also a
yeah.
fake vegetarian.
Is he now? So what is he, like a pescatarian or something?
He occasionally eats turkey or chicken. He's a Seventh-day Adventist, so he's supposed to be veg. His wife is fully veg, but he cheats.
What a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, he really should just go vegan. Maybe it would help him wake up.
Clearly he deals with being too tired from time to time.
It's a problem.
It's clearly a problem. But I mean, I don't know. Ben Carson sucks. He's a bad guy.
If you have a rule that tells you what to do, you don't need more guidance on that.
All right, we are all now more stupid than we were when we came in the room today, sir. Thank you.
I don't like that guy.
Who do you like, Jordan?
I like Bernie Sanders.
Besides Bernie.
That's what I like. I like myself, and I love Lamp, and that was the joke was a little too old.
I love Lamp. That was really stupid.
Stupid fucking joke. No, I mean, I like a lot of things. I like democracy. I like Taiwan. I love Taiwan. And I love that Taiwan legalized gay marriage. That shit's awesome. How do you feel about gay marriage in Taiwan, Ari? Do you hate it?
Why would I hate it?
Are you angry? because you're a homophobe.
I don't even know how to respond to that. If I'm too overreactive, it's gonna seem like I'm faking it.
I'm just kidding. I'm obviously just kidding. Ari is. If anyone needs this reminder, then you haven't listened to enough podcasts. But Ari is obviously not a homophobe.
I'm happy. It was inevitable, so I wasn't that surprised. Cause like.
Yeah.
Because the Supreme Court already said that basically they had to pass some kind of thing. So I'm happy that it happened. I'm still a little mixed on one thing, basically. I think that the fact that it didn't pass in the referendum, it was like pretty disturbing when you compare it to the fact that it passed the legislative yuan. Like it's like a discord.
Yeah.
There's a dissonance between what the government wants and the people want. And that's not uncommon, but that's kind of a little bit disturbing still.
I think that it's a little bit outdated. I think one of the things that like has to do with that is the fact that like how the things in the Gongto were worded.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And also, I know that like there are a lot of people that didn't vote in the Gongto, especially people that were young. And also there was because there are good articles about this, and you can people can Google it. And if you want me to send you the articles, get in touch with us on @social at FreeChinaPost or FreeChinaPost.com or whatever social medias, Twitter, blah 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 blah. Anyway, so I can send you the articles. There are articles basically like showing how the basically North American Christian right has like pumped money into Taiwan to basically fight against marriage equality. And I know I have a few students who are pretty liberal, and they're okay with I don't know if I would say in favor, but they're okay with gay marriage. But their parents are against it. Even their parents are actually more liberal than like Americans in terms of gay marriage. They're like, yeah, like you can have civil unions, things like that. But like, if you want to adopt a child, you shouldn't be like, they have like reservations about that. There's a lot of money coming in from America about that shit, and that's something that Taiwan needs to protect against and show like the Taiwanese media has done a bad job about showing these proliferations and showing that like this is where this money is coming from, and that it's not a genuine sentiment. And so I think a lot of people voted because like if you're against something, you're more likely to go out and vote as opposed to if you're in favor of something and you think it's going to pass. Because like those things, like I mean, of course, like the Gongto, the referendum, I keep saying Gongto, the referendum was shown like the ideas, like people were in favor of a lot of that shit, but not enough people got out and vote, in my opinion at least.
Anything else going on?
I don't know, man. I don't have like I've been very focused on my article recently, so I don't have a whole lot of news to talk about.
Well, whatever. You beatboxing there?
Yeah, I was trying to. Yeah, I don't know. I need to do some more research. I'm trying to finish this. Hopefully, I'll finish this article by the weekend, so we'll have more stuff to talk about. Also, we need to start doing more twice a week podcasts.
That's not gonna happen at least until summertime.
Okay, maybe I'll try to get some other people to come on.
There's not that much. What is the 23rd today? So there's about 3 weeks left in the semester. It's not super long. Wow, there's 3 weeks left. That means these next 3 weeks are going to be pretty hell for me.
Yeah, so everyone pray for Ari, pray to Tudigong, pray to Madzu.
Not my God.
Pray to Yahweh, pray to Jesus.
Not my God.
Pray. Nah, my God. Yahweh's not your God?
That's not even a thing.
Yahweh is not a thing.
Nobody says that. Like, the only people who say that are like
Christians say that a lot.
No Jewish person I have ever heard a Jewish person say that in my entire life.
How about a messianic
Jew?
Those
are not Jewish people. Those are Christians.
No, they're not, Ari. They're different.
I mean, yeah, whatever. They can call themselves Jewish, I guess, if they follow the Old Testament rules.
Kidding.
I would say that would be maybe acceptable. But generally, the rule is that you're not supposed to use God's name. Not only that, but the idea is that God's real name is supposed to be, like, unknowable. In some senses, there's weird ways, because in one sense, the real name is supposed to be unknowable, but the names with which humans are allowed to refer to him, there's something like 190, not 190. There's a lot of different names. So even in in the Bible, I mean, he's referred to in all kinds of different names.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
so I mean, my name, has technically one of the iterations of God's name in it. More religious people try as hard as they can not to mention God's name anytime unless they're praying. So
yeah, it's interesting the differences between Christianity and Judaism.
Well, a lot of it, Judaism is just built on, I mean, different streams of dogma and religious tradition. Basically, they have all these. Yeah. Rabbinic Judaism is built on all those medieval scholars. And Christianity was built on mostly Roman scholarship.
Yeah, and a lot of it, I mean, there have been portions of that have been destroyed throughout history and stuff like that. Okay, so continuing on this, somewhat tangentially, what do you think about Supreme Cuck, Ben Sassafras, Ben Shapino, coming out and saying that...
I thought you were talking about the Supreme Court.
No, Ben Shapino, saying that basically all Jews who support Democrats are not.
Well, that's a really old thing. Obviously, he's a fucking idiot, and then he tries to link, first of all, the modern Israel with Judaism, which, first of all, there isn't a monolithic Judaism, and if he was a real fucking Jew, he would know that. First of all, there are 3 different streams within modern rabbinic Judaism, and there are non-rabbinic Jewish streams anyways, like Karaite sects and stuff like that. So to pretend like there's one fucking sect, I don't buy that. I know what he's trying to say, basically. He's saying that if you're not a Zionist, then you're not a proper Jew. But supporting Israel and supporting the Israeli government are not the same thing as Zionism to begin with anyways. You could be a Zionist and still think... I would consider myself a Zionist. I still think Netanyahu's a sack of shit.
So, okay, can you define that for people that are listening? What do you mean by Zionist?
That's basically because if you actually go through the Jewish history of the world, it's pretty bad. They're one of the only people in the world that basically has never had a piece of land. They're an ethno-religious linguistic group who have never had a single piece of land in the world where they continually settled it for more than a few hundred years, because in every circumstance they were basically driven out by some kind of other group, usually through violence. So most other groups basically, I mean, Jewish people are certainly not the only ones to have this happen to them, but most other historical groups, once they were driven out of their homeland or whatever, they were banished by a group of people, they assimilated and they lost their original culture, and Jewish people haven't had that. So if you look at the history, you look at the amount of kind of historical persecution, there's a lot of justification for most Jews that basically there needs to be a kind of a geographic entity, a Jewish homeland, a Jewish state. Okay, so that's how I define Zionism, and that's how Zionism, I guess, is defined. That there's a need for a Jewish state somewhere in the world.
Okay. I mean, that's. I think that's acceptable. I don't know.
What don't you know?
I don't know. I just think that, like, yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that ideology, but I don't think that, because I mean, we live in an interesting time where it's like religion is often so often tied to culture. So
yeah.
So I guess I'm okay with that as long as that doesn't translate to other people being subjugated. And I feel like that even with quote unquote, there's also I think a danger in tying the Israeli state to Judaism, because then when people criticize the Jewish state, then people are called out as.
Well, you can criticize the Israeli government without criticizing Israel, just like you can criticize the United States government without saying Americans suck.
It's true, but that's not how it works in practice. Because you look at people
I
like
agree with you.
Ilhan Omar, for instance, and you can argue that like her initial stance, putting forth a thing about like hypnotism, like you can argue that it's like, yeah, that's and not to get into like all of her political ideology, which most of it I would agree with, but like you can say like, yeah, that's like it's a stereotype, like it's a Jewish stereotype, but you at the same time, people I've literally know people on Facebook that would basically call her an anti-Semite. At the same time, they would support these American pastors that are pushing forward literally like anti-Semitic things. So there's a pastor named Rick, I believe his name is Rick Warrens, and he said recently some super anti-Semitic shit. And I have not seen any of these people that would call Ilhan Omar out on her shit, which I think, you know, you should be. And Jewish Americans and Jewish people who are people of faith, or even just like you know, like ethnic Jews, should say like, hey, like, you need to be careful about what you say. But I have not seen anyone who has called her out on her stuff calling out the same thing from the other side. And here, I'll play this. I'll play this audio clip for you, and you tell me if you think that this is better or worse than what Ilhan Omar said.
Zionism. That's what we're doing. Zionism brought the slaughter of 65 million babies to America, and we're going to end it, and we are going to impose Christian rule in this country. Why are you imposing Judaism on me? Because that's exactly what's been done in America since 1973 with Roe v. Wade. Judaism was imposed on me, imposed on my Christian nation, and we became a Jewish nation that kills babies. That's against my Christian beliefs. Judaism became the law of the land in America. That's precisely what the courts have ruled. They have based their rulings on the Zohar, on the Talmud, and now we have Zionistic Talmudic law ruling this country and resulting in the death of millions of babies. And Ms. Cohen, we Christians are standing up, and we're telling you we're done with Zionism. We're done with your values. We are going to impose Christian
Yo, this is where it was 30 seconds,
in America again. Whether you
It
like it
doesn't
or
matter.
You
not,
sure?
you represent less than 2% of the population of this
Are
country.
you sure?
How does 2% rule the rest of the nation? I know how. You control the banks, you control the technology, you control the media,
You control the pews.
and then you buy out the churches. Move that money around, and those crooked preachers take your money. That's exactly how you do it.
What in the fuck?
Okay, so there's a little bit of the person I was listening, the person whose thing I basically at the end said, "What the fuck?" So, yeah. Okay. So again, full disclosure, I just showed you the whole video. When I edit that, it might get edited down because of legal requirements and things like that. But actually, it ends up not mattering that much because of like you can basically play something as long as it's free rights usage. But anyway, so this like the last comment that maybe people won't hear, but like what that we heard was like, what the fuck, and like that last like 5 to 10 seconds is fucking super anti-Semitic. When you control the banks, when you control like the money and shit.
But
like
okay,
this.
so what's the point? I mean, there are lots of anti-Semitic people who talk shit all the time. The difference is one of them is a congressperson. So I don't know how popular he is. I don't know how many followers he has. If he's pretty mainstream, then this kind of statement should be more mainstream. But I mean, there's all kinds of nut jobs saying all kinds of shit all the time. This is not the first time, and it's not the last time I'm going to hear anti-Semitic shit. So,
true.
How many followers?
But what I'm saying,
how many people are in his congregation?
That I couldn't give you an exact number.
So I don't understand what the point is.
I will look it up, but that's a very popular person.
Really?
Yeah. Like, if I know their name in the Christian fundamentalist circles that I won't say run in, but like that I know of, like I do, that's significant. I would say that person has a decent following, and that's the thing, is like that's a preacher. Like, obviously it's not someone that has like overbearing on like policy and things like that, but in a way they do, because those are the people that like a lot of these people are meeting with. Like, those are the people that like Trump are meeting with, and like things like that. And so they do have a lot of sway over like these politicians.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, people say all kinds of shit, and we all have our reasons for hating different politicians, you know? But,
yeah, it's true, but at the same time, it's still something that we should, like, worry about.
Yes.
So I don't think that we should, like, just dismiss it out of hand and say, oh, hey, well, like, it doesn't matter because, it's not a politician.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all. What I'm saying is, it's not shocking. I mean, it's gross, but like, what do? You can only do something when these are people in power and there's like they have some kind of public accountability. But anyway, I don't know how did we get on this topic? I think we're both fading.
I don't remember. This is what happens usually on this podcast. Is we get on some topic that we were talking about, like Zionism and things like that. So, I don't know. Anyway. But what I would say is, like, there's a lot of... My point in playing that was to show that there are a lot of right-wingers, basically, that say they're in support of the Jewish state, that are actually fundamentally opposed to it. And that, of course, their text and what they believe that the text says is to say that all Jews will be smited. And that they revel in that. And I think that's disgusting.
Would you agree the Jews need a state? Should have a state?
I don't know. I think that they do have a state, and so we need to reckon with that.
Why shouldn't they, as an ethnic group? Why shouldn't... I don't think you're as far as a construction...
I think that... Go ahead, sorry.
Like last week, a couple weeks ago, Ray was super constructive to say, the nation states aren't real, that like going off all these imagined communities, theories, and all this constructivist mumbo jumbo. But I think if you're gonna say that the Uyghurs deserve a state, the Catalans deserve a state, if every ethnic group deserves a state, then the Jews deserve a state, and for that matter, if you're going to consider the Palestinians the people, which is debatable, because they weren't conceived of as a. If you looked at it in 1967, there was no such thing as Palestinian people. They were Jordanians and Egyptians.
Yeah.
But if you're going to consider them a people now, if they consider themselves a people, then they should have a state too.
Yeah. So what I would say is that, like,
you can't have one without the other.
I think that the whole conversation, if you're going to say, like, should this group of people, should this group have a state, I think those are conversations that we can have. But the Israeli people already do have... Yeah, but what I'm saying is the Israeli people already do have a state. Israel is already a state. So I think that's just we need to deal with that as
well.
It is. Like it's already a state. It is.
I agree with
state,
you, but
it's a very powerful and influential state, and I don't think that
if
you're asking me,
because there's a very heavy presence of very politically active Arabs in the UK, and they're trying to push these alternative arguments, basically saying that the Jews had no historical ties there, that basically they were never in Israel, the Holocaust never happened, and basically they need to just go back to Europe where they came from.
Well, I think obviously the Holocaust happened. Obviously, like if you're a Holocaust denier, you're a fucking idiot. But I don't think that any of that shit is like really relevant. If you're saying like, well, they don't have ties to this land, I think there are obviously like historical evidence. There's historical evidence of showing that Israelis.
For fuck's sake, if you're it's in the basis of Islam is based off of Christianity, which is based off of Judaism.
Yeah.
The entire basis of these religions is that Judaism existed there since time immemorial. How can you believe in Islam and not believe that the Jews have historical ties to Israel? That is sacrilege to even say the fucking thing. Okay, so if you actually believe that, then you're not even a Muslim. So the whole notion is preposterous.
I mean, it's the same. It could be the same thing as like you're saying, like you're a Mormon. And so
I'm a Mormon, but I think that
whole
Joseph
thing.
Smith wasn't a real person. That Jesus is a figment of my imagination.
Well, no, it's saying that like I'm like kind of a Christian, but I'm a Mormon. So like it's like, well, yeah, it wasn't in the Middle East. It was in Missouri. But I agree with what you're saying. Like, and I think that all of this
the
is
Old
like,
Testament.
It doesn't need to be argued anyway.
The entire
Israel
Old
already a
Testament
state.
is about a bunch of Jews living in Israel in specific cities that still exist now, no less. Cities,
I
actually,
agree with you.
the cities are not even in Israel. They're in Palestine. Nazareth is in the fucking West Bank.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's why we should get real about this shit and talk about.
Yeah, but these are real discourses that are taking place, man.
I know, and they shouldn't be, and that's why the thing is. I think they should be swatted aside, and people should say, okay, like you want to argue that Israel shouldn't be a state. Well, it doesn't fucking matter. They are a state. Israel is a state, and so if you want to argue that like they're doing like human rights abuses or they have some sort of problems, that's fine. Like, and I would argue the same thing for the United States. Like, you want to argue that the United States has problems, let's do that. But if you're going to argue that the United States is not a state because they stole the land from the native population, which is true, it doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to return the land to my ancestors.
You just have to drop that in there. All right, I agree with you.
I'm just talking shit. Like I am Native American, but only one.
All right, you and Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah. Well, hey, fuck Elizabeth Warren. She's like 120 fucking 737 thousandths. I'm way more Native American than she is. So fucking put your dukes up, Elizabeth. Let's fucking go to war. But really, what I'm trying. That's the point that I'm trying. That is not the point that I'm trying to make. The point that I'm trying to make is saying that like. It doesn't matter. It's done. Like, these things are finished. Like, and you can argue that, like, it's bad. Like, yeah, it's fucked up things happen to make these things happen. And if you want to say, like, it's fucked up that the Americans, the Westerners, the Europeans stole land from the Native Americans, I will agree with you 100%. But saying that they don't that America is not a state is a stupid argument, just as much as saying Israel is not a state. It is. It's done. So let's work from the current situation. You can't just say, okay, well, like, you know, I have a problem with like where Israel took this land, and I think that like you can talk about that, and like I have problems with Israel. I have a ton of problems with Israel. I have a ton of problems with America, but let's work from where we are right now, and let's work within work. You don't have to necessarily work within these states. Like, you can elect your own people, and that's where I would come out at it. Is like. Like the U.S., like they want to say like, okay, like blah, 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 we're like this state, yeah, and it's fucked up. We need to like change this shit. But to say that like it's not a country, and like especially to say like the Holocaust didn't happen. Anyone that's like anti like the fact that the Holocaust happened, like you're just anti-truth, like you're alternative facts bullshit, like that's bullshit. So I don't know. I'm ranting a little bit. So
I remember I heard some conspiracy theory recently. It was pretty ridiculous. I can't remember what it was.
That 9/11 was not an inside job, because that's a ridiculous conspiracy theory.
I remember one of the first times we were, I didn't say hanging out. When we were first working at our previous job together, my previous job, my XX job.
Your XX job, yeah.
And we were going to those stupid workshops. And we were all in the taxi. And I remember it was me, you, Danny, and Adam. And you were talking about illegal wars, and I'm like, what are you talking about, man? Like, what illegal wars? Like having the same conversations now. And you're like, man, they're in so many countries. I'm like, give me some. And you're like, if you believe that the U.S. isn't in any illegal wars, I got news for you, or something like that. I just like rolled my eyes.
I'm so sassy.
Or you said something like, you better pull the cloth out over your eyes, buddy, or something like that. It was really sassy.
You better take your blindfold off, you fucking cuck.
Something like that.
I was to be fair to me.
To be fair to myself, because I really like myself and my viewpoints.
Stop being so harsh on me, Ari.
I'm not being
harsh on you. To be fair to me, I know. I'm just kidding. I'm obviously joking. But at that point, I've probably been interested in politics for a lot less time than you have.
Oh. I remember getting interested in politics when I was 9. I still remember the Gore versus Bush, and I remember I was getting real pumped about that. I remember betting, was it 2018? No, I remember 2014. I made a big bet with one of my classmates over whether Kerry or Bush would win. So yeah, I've been interested in politics since I was a child.
I've been interested in like history and things like that for longer, but like I didn't connect politics into that until probably end of high school or into college. So I don't know. My political knowledge, while robust in some areas, is like pretty limited in others. Like I just haven't thought about a lot of. I don't know. I've thought about a lot of things, obviously, but like I just didn't even think about a lot of political things.
And I ran for your university senate back in the day.
Oh, that's so fucking lame. You're such a fucking.
It was really hard because like a lot of the rich kids, they like had all this campaign materials. They were like putting out posters and shit. So what I did, because it was really popular at the time. First of all, my college was the Liberal Arts and Sciences College, which is the biggest one at ASU. So basically,
you're such a fucking libtard.
Liberal arts. I was in the chemistry department, biochemistry.
I'm just kidding. I'm just giving you shit.
Anyway, so my department got like basically 6 senators, and they just took whoever got the top 6 votes. So I think you needed like 300 or 400 votes, maybe 500 votes to win. So I got 7th place. So I was like 1 short. So the only campaigning I did was like the week before the election. Basically, I spammed a shitload of classes. I tried to get emails to all the classes, and I spammed them. And my only campaign thing was like, because at the time they were talking about making tobacco illegal on campus, so that you wouldn't be able to like smoke anywhere near campus or use chewing tobacco or anything like that. It would be completely banned. So I was like, I'll keep tobacco legal. That was like my campaign thing. And basically, with a few spam emails, I managed to get like just under the margin. I think I lost by like less than 30 votes. So I got several hundred.
I don't know if that's surprising or not.
Try to get the smokers, man.
That's a big like voting block. Like I remember like there was a lot of people I met because I would skateboard outside my dorm. The first year, I met most of my friends because we had a loading dock, and I would skateboard.
Can you ollie, man?
And there was a bunch of. Oh yeah.
Still?
I can ollie. I can kick flip.
I haven't.
I don't know. I haven't played. I
haven't played skateboard in a while.
I haven't played the skateboard. No.
I'm trying to relearn the ollie because I haven't done it in like 10 years. But it's hard to tell especially since I was drinking the last time I skateboarded, which was a bad idea.
Man, last time, like we should. I mean, yeah, drinking is like dangerous when you.
Oh, it was really bad. My balance was so off.
It's bad for balance, but it's also similar for language. Like it loosens you up, so it can improve you if you're at the right level.
I was like falling off and shit. It wasn't good.
That's too much. Yeah, you drink.
I had like one drink basically, but being vegan, man, you're just so sensitive to alcohol.
You're too lightweight. Yeah, you gotta work on that. You gotta have half a drink. Just shotgun half a beer.
Maybe.
But yeah, I need to skateboard more, man. It's good.
Yeah.
Exercise.
Oh man, every time I do it, I come back so fucking sweaty.
It's good exercise. It's absolutely.
It's really good. Exercise. It's really good.
I've just been so bad at it. I gotta figure out I also gotta find a good pair of shoes to skateboard in. So.
Yeah, I just used my one of my old pairs of Vans. Cause ollieing it, like it's kind of like scraping the side of my shoe where I like turn it back. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't want to use my good shoes to ollie.
Yeah, it's good.
I just stood last time I went to do my laundry for like an hour, just like trying to get it down.
Yeah, I need to skateboard more. All right, you come up here, or maybe I'll come down there and bring my skateboard. You greedy bitch.
Cause man, I've offered to come up there, but you're always like, oh no, I got work. So this way I know if you come down here,
you can come up on Sunday. I don't have work on Sunday this week.
Let's talk about it off air.
All right. We should wrap up too. We're over 2 hours, so and with the drops that I'm gonna put, the hot fucking drops. Actually, there's not a lot of drops I'm gonna put on here, because this episode has been pretty clean. So I'll put some in. But anyway, yeah, we should wrap up. Just like to say, like, thanks for everyone who's listening. We know, like, you know, it's a vast swath of people, like 30,000 or 40, 50, 100 million of you that are listening, and we really appreciate it. So keep up the good work. Share it with your friends. Like us, give us 5-star ratings. If you have comments, obviously comment down below. If you're listening on iTunes, blah, 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 blah. If not,
share with your friends on Facebook, Twitter.
Give it 5-star ratings are like super
Douyin.
important. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, whatever you do, if you want to add us for some questions or something you want us to talk about, if you have a topic, we really like to talk about different topics. So, at social at FreeChinaPost.com, or you can, everything we're at FreeChinaPost. You can follow us on even Twitch. I'm gonna do some more Twitch streaming next week. I'm gonna Twitch some Red Dead Redemption 2.
What?
With my buddy, whose name will be left unknown because I don't know if he wants me to share.
How are you
his
gonna
name.
Twitch stream it?
I hooked it up to my account, so I can.
How are you gonna play it?
What do you mean?
Did you get a console?
Yeah.
Oh, you bitch boy! You bought a PS4.
I feel so bad about getting it.
You're the biggest cock, man.
Man,
oh my!
There's so many games that I want to play. I'm a gamer, man. I'm a gamer. I hate it. I'm a PC gamer. I'm a PC master race at heart, but what I am is.
Oh my gosh!
Hey, have you downloaded Overcooked 2?
You know how busy I've been with my fucking
PhD? Yeah. You know how busy I've been with my PhD? I don't care about that shit. Fuck you. I'm just kidding. But honestly, yeah, I have a PS4 account. I did buy a PS4, and I feel terrible about it. But it's been done. So everyone should follow us. I will be streaming next week. Well, maybe this weekend. So we'll get it done. So if you want to see us stream a certain game, we love to stream DOS games. We could do some DOS games over the internet, things like that. So let us know. Don't be shy. You can do it anonymously. But our Twitch is also FreeChinaPost, all one word. So let us know. I don't know, but yeah, we'll talk to you guys soon. We love you all. I love you, Ari, and we will talk to you guys in a matter of.
Man, this
days.
is like a 3-minute outro. You're like my father when he's trying to leave my aunt's house. Goodbye. And I wanted to just say goodbye, and this is going to be a really big goodbye. And goodbye for tonight, and goodbye, and we'll see you tomorrow, and goodbye.
I'll talk to you tomorrow. Call us on the phone.
All right, let's get the fuck off.
I love you. I'll talk to you tomorrow, but I gotta go. But I love you, and I love you.
I'm cutting the recording.
And all right, bye bye. Love you guys. Bye. Love you, Ari.